Argument here on the David Tillis Show. The number is 800-8949. That's 800-8949. I've been trying to develop the whole idea today that there is a way of proportionality, a way in which you can have right action for right action, right response for a particular action. We see in dealings among police officers and the citizenry, when it makes the news, the disproportion, the problem of overreaction, the problem of threats, violence, compulsion, barked orders, and so on for the citizen who is turned into an object at that moment, who is dehumanized and turned into a bag of potatoes. There's a proportionality problem there, a scale problem. And we can see the same conflict, if you will, between right proportion and disproportion in the question of education, which is to say, really, schooling. It's easy to talk about education and schooling as the same, but they are distinct operations. And just because one has a school doesn't mean that one has what we would perhaps agree on in general terms is an education. Education does not necessarily flow from schooling, though schooling has as its pretext and its pretense the educational enterprise. And it is being done for your benefit by us, the experts, with taxpayer support, because it is a public policy interest, a state interest, that we have your children in our care and in our jurisdiction and under our sway, so that they might think the proper things, learn the proper facts, and come out with their diplomas, bright, shining, ready to go, ready to work, excited about life, and compliant. Let them have whatever ideas they want, but we are really all about compliance and submission, to be like other people and not to be too different from other people. Schools are intended to create a rational and managed society. They have that as their main purpose, and it is an industrial and financial interest result. It comes from the great concern the industrial classes had in the 1800s about how can we recoup our investments, especially on large factories that have to produce a lot of the same thing, many copies of the same product in order to be profitable and for us to pay back our notes. And so we have to have a society which is consuming oriented, that will buy our products, and we have to guarantee effectively that our customers will continue to be there generation after generation as we improve our plant, create new efficiencies, have better management skills, hire more workers, and innovate. Right? We want to innovate. We are Americans, after all. We have the best product in the world, and to have innovation continue to be subsidized by the market, we have to have the school system to create the cash flow from the people to us, so that we can serve the people better in our wonderful businesses, whether it's Woolworths or train lines or gadgets, equipment for the house, what have you, tractors, washing machines, new types of kitchen countertop that are made in the factory and not carved out of stone, all kinds of things. We can innovate, but we have to have a way of paying back our debts and maintaining a rational factory and a rational business. And so these interests, if you read the histories, worked toward the industrial management model under the influence of behaviorists and Thorndike and many others, many Germans as well. German rationalist philosophers contributed a great deal to the idealism that underlay and that flowed from the pen of John Dewey and before him the people who founded the Massachusetts schools, the first compulsory school system, in which children at gunpoint were at one point rounded up to 10 classes, so that they might learn their letters and their numbers. Presumably, they wouldn't be able to learn them apart from the barrels being pointed in the direction of their parents. David Tillis here. The number is 800-8949, 800-8949. If you have a question, please feel free to ask me. Maybe I can solve your problem. Maybe we can just discuss things, especially if you have something that's adverse to what I'm saying, right? Maybe there's something that I'm just not considering, and you will do me the great favor of bringing it up and distracting me for my rhetoric, because after all, I do have an argument to make, but it need not be all made today, right? We have another day. We are periodical, right? Every day at 9 here on Nuclear Radio, live on Facebook, and live on YouTube at Nuclear Radio. We are here, and we build the story daily. If we can't get it in today, well, we'll get that interview in tomorrow and develop the story and further the story, right? It's good not to have it all told today, because that leaves some for tomorrow, right? Some for tomorrow's fodder. Newspapers editors think like this, and newsroom editors think like this. All editors, and I am an editor, we think in terms of the progressing of the story. So a small step today is better than a big step today and no material for a step tomorrow, right? So do feel free to call me. And this question of proportionality is, I think, a useful framework. It's like my argument here, local economy in the free market, right? The number, you want the number again? 800-8949. That's 800-8949. Brought to you by yournews.com. And David Tool is the editor, formerly with Newsprint Inc. stains on his fingertips, editor of yournews.com and also of Nuganomics.com. Now, just in the way of notice, there's a great little event coming up on the 23rd and 24th of June, and it's the 36th annual Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon. Got that? The 36th, maybe the number doesn't matter so much, but it is the annual Waterfront Triathlon. That's Saturday and Sunday, the 23rd and 24th. Downtown, we're going to be broadcasting and narrowcasting from the expo Saturday and Sunday throughout the course of that event. It'll be a huge, huge event. Do think of coming, and you'll be able to see Sam Jordan, our very own Sam Jordan, our sports expert, broadcasting on a bicycle on the day of the race. And we'll be there with our wonderful Hummer, which I have the great blessing of traveling around, and I've gotten used to being behind the wheel of that tank. It's a tank with a terrific turning capacity, by the way. And that's us here, David Toulis, Nuclear Radio, local economy in the free market. That's our theme here on the David Toulis Show. And there are a whole bunch of things I want to try to get to, but and I want, just before we go too far into analysis, maybe just some brief discussion about the Apex report from Unifi-Ed. It is available online. I think if you just Google Unifi-Ed, that's Unifi with a hyphen and then capital ED, you'll be able to download it. It's about 25 pages or so. And what struck me as I went through this, I marked that thing up pretty seriously with yellow marker, blue ink, and then some also indelible black marker, which I have for very important marks on printed paper, which I hold here in front of me. And at one point, I have in the marginalia, dead. Well, and let me just say maybe what the dead part is. Schools should also give teachers and students ways to share their voice on their goals, what is happening in their classroom, and best practices through surveys and weekly meetings. Administration can schedule consistent one-on-ones in the school to gain teacher and student feedback so that they can share their opinions openly and without fear of retaliation. Schools must consistently nurture a culture of openness and support to fully elevate the voices of students and teachers within their schools, as well as provide teachers and students access to decision-making discussions and policy meetings. And that kind of thing, that where you have feedback meetings, you have sort of a chorus of arranged meetings and discussions and surveys. That is not how the marketplace works. Right? If you don't have a free market, to get feedback, you have to kind of arrange for it to be done, right? I'm not saying you can't have surveys in genuine capitalism where those are used all the time. Customer preference surveys and test surveys on new products and new innovations. Those are perfectly fine. But when you have a school system, a bureaucracy where policy is set from far away and is largely unmovable, unbudgeable, then these things are part of the marketing to make it appear that the clientele, the ostensible clientele, the parents, and the children in the school systems who are the nominal consumers of the product, that they're cared for, that the system is in fact human, right? That it does listen, right? And that is a not a real humanity. It is a kind of simulacrum humanity, a kind of false and ersatz humanity. We want to hear what you have to say because we can hear it and we can adjust and we consider all the good points you've made. We'll make a policy that reflects at least part of what you're saying, right? We'll get, somehow you'll feel that you can own this system, that it is responsive. It is relational, right? We do relate to you and we want you to relate to us and to care about things enough to respond to our survey and be part of our goal. Adopt our policy, more or less, identify with it, identify with us, because we care. We love and care for Chattanooga and Hamilton County. Equity is about ensuring that every child, no matter their zip code, has the opportunity for a brilliant future. When all of our children have the resources and support that they need to thrive, we all receive the benefits of a more safe, economically stable, civically engaged, and caring community. There, again, the IDLE, the idea of Unifi-Ed. Equity across our public schools requires empathy and action. It demands honesty, commitment, and perseverance from everyone in our diverse community. Together, we must confront our history and expand our collective knowledge about the political, social, and economic systems that influence our schools. And so it is a long-term commitment on the part of Unifi-Ed to organize for equity in Hamilton County. And the APEX project is a grassroots organizing campaign that focused on collecting the community's experience. And so feedback from about 2,600 people, I believe is the number, brought about the decision from the people who read the data, right? You get the data and then you respond to the data. That is, socialism always works that way. Keynesianism, when you have a Keynesian collectivist economy, you have to have, your departments of trade. You have to have trade reports, trade data. It's all because data is how. You see, if you don't have a free market, you have to have data gathered by the reams, by the good people who fly over the whole scene, right, looking down upon it. That would be your government agency. In a free market, you don't have to have that kind of governmental, centralized, collectivist data. Why? Because the marketplace actors, each in his own limited sphere, has his own data pack by which he makes decisions. He doesn't have to have sociological data. He doesn't have to have trade and market system data aggregated from mass reporting by subjected enterprises, right, through tax filings and the like. That's not needed. What is needed is your sphere, the data for your market and your clientele. 800-8949 is the number. Do call me 800-8949, 800-8949. And so when you have a system that is collectivist, meaning state-centered, right? It centers on the state and its necessaries. Then data of the kind that Unifi-Ed is specialized in. These are Obama people who use the web to magnificent sense to bring votes, to bring sympathy to the candidate for his first term and his reelection. That is what's in view with these mechanisms. Again, they're administrative solutions, administrative adjustments to make people identify with the system, to make the system human, to make it one where there is a soul. And of course, it's not a real soul. It's just a kind of pretended soul, the soul of a corporation. And we know corporations don't have a body whose ass one can kick. Corporations don't have a soul that can empathize. They don't. And municipal corporations, such as City of Chattanooga, don't either. But of course, now there is the sense in which, in a poetic sense, cities do have souls, and that is because they are comprised of, they exist apart from the sum of all the individual residents, right? That is the city. And again, it's not something that actually exists. It is something that writers, sociologists, poets, journalists, they create, they project this image of the city, and that of course is a legitimate human function. It is part of it's human nature to tell stories, and that's what I do here, David Toulis on 92.7, and so we're projecting a story about Chattanooga, about Hamilton County, and that's why I hope you tune in. And you, my listener, tell a friend about me, David Toulis, because if you do that, that will make at 200% my listenership, not just one, which is you, right? That gives me another one. So that's 200% of what I have now. So a password about my show, David Toulis, and like Unifi-Ed is proposing that it builds trust and relationship between participants. It is the same with us. You and I can build trust and relationships and develop a, quote, deeper understanding, as it says here in the Apex Policy Platform issue areas, a deeper understanding of ourselves and our city and what we are to do, what you are to do in Chattanooga and what I am to do in Chattanooga. Because I am a reform-minded person. I believe in reform. I believe in God's grace, right? I believe in the Reformation that swept Europe in the 1500s, and where people found the Word of God again, right? They rediscovered God. It had been hidden from them by the Roman Catholic collective hierarchy. And we have you and I have an action plan too. That's kind of what I'm proposing for here at Nooga Radio at 92.7. That you and I, we have an action plan, and that it not be about reforming somebody else's property, right? Especially state property that is irredeemable and unreformable. But I'm just looking through all my notes. It goes on for pages, but collectivism tries to equate equity. Equity. What am I trying to say here, Mark? Well, equity is something. Okay, let's just look at the word here. Equity as used by Unifi-Ed. Equity is meant to be fair access to all the state resources from all people. So if you're poor and you're black and you're in one of those rotten Helena County schools, you have a right to have schooling and to have classroom time in a better school where the rich kids go, where the better schools with more interested parents and more capital among the families in that school, their institution does better. And you the poor kid, the mom of the poor children, you have a right effectively to have your children there. We just have to figure out how to get them there, right? That's the whole busing idea in the Apex report that's sort of mentioned in whispers, you might say. And so equity is bringing about an evenness in the marketplace. Now, what the problem again is, and I don't want to keep jumping to the rebuttal. Maybe I should let the argument run in an extended fashion. We have some important announcements to make, so maybe in the next segment, if I don't divert to discuss another topic, we can do that. But equity is the fruit of the liberty of the marketplace. Again, you can't. And you say, well, wait a minute, David. You're saying that we can't have equity, we can't have equal treatment in an administrative system in a bureaucratic realm. And the answer is you can have semblances of it, but even there you're going to have grave inequities because administration is never as quick to respond to incentives as the market. In a marketplace, you're going to have much better results for everything, whether it's education or whether it's hamburgers or a service. Think if you had government writing software, right? You'd never have the end of bugs. You'd never have the end of crashes. Government doesn't write software. And the free market, run by people like you, each in his own small realm of that marketplace, you are the one to provide the best solution, not an agency funded by taxpayers where people are there by political connections, and they're hired not based on what they know of their area necessarily, right? In government, you hire functionaries and administrators, right, whose duty is ministerial. It is to say they do what they're told following the rules. A marketplace requires people not to have an administrative backward-looking perspective, looking at the rules, but a forward-looking anticipatory perspective that looks upon the needs of the customer, the people whom are ostensibly or really the recipient, the party who is to be benefited by the beneficial work of you, the provider, right, in your field. In schooling, equity can be brought about in education, I should say, perhaps here. The idea of equity is best brought about to the benefit of the poor, right? Because those are the people we're talking about, in a free market where service providers, charities, and churches can step in to provide the services. And I say that because when the state consumes 90% of the capital, 90% of the educational dollar by taxation, It denies capital. It denies investment means to the private educational sector. If Hamilton County cut the tax base in half and cut its subsidies to its schools by half, sharpening all the players, making all the players more efficient, right? You would free up capital for an infusion of charitable services, charitable giving, serving in the educational sector these poor families in these very well-known neighborhoods in Hamilton County. Those people would certainly have options that they don't have now. David Torres, I've got some wonderful messages, and do remember to mark down the Chattanooga Waterfront Triathlon on the 23rd and 24th. We're going to be there, you too.
3, 2, 1. Chattanooga.